You know, throughout the Pokemon trading card game's long and very detailed history, we've seen practically countless sets released to the masses, each bringing with them new cards, new artwork, and hey, even some new ways to play. Usually these sets are released, enjoyed by the masses for the little bit of time they have in the spotlight, before shifting over to make room for the next new and exciting thing. And generally those sets will end up fading into obscurity, only to be remembered in a few people's nostalgia. However, there's a few sets so fundamentally broken and uninteresting that I'm fairly convinced that no one will ever view these sets in any form of positive light. And among those sets, I feel there's one that reigns above the rest. Let's talk about Steam Siege.
Ah boy, here we go.
Steam Siege, first released outside Japan in 2016, brought with it 116 new cards to the game. It was the second last expansion set in the Pokemon X and Y block of sets, and was set to follow up the previously extremely underwhelming X and Y Fates Collide. And while I'm raring to rip that set to shreds, it'll have to wait for another time. So, how about we begin to dissect some of the issues that have led X and Y Steam Siege to become such a tragedy that its only rival was the goddamn Hindenburg. Whenever a new set comes out, Pokemon prints on their Pokemon pack labels 4 different Pokemon. And these 4 become sort of the pseudo-mascots of a set. They're the Pokemon that people tend to focus on, and they're kind of the forerunners of their respective sets. So it becomes paramount for Pokemon to pick interesting and unique cards to represent that set, so that those sets can remain fresh and interesting. So what 4 Pokemon does Steam Siege choose to focus on? Well, the 4 Pokemon chosen for Steam Siege were Volcanion EX, Mega Gardevoir EX, Xerneas Break, and Yveltal Break. I mean, seems like a decent lineup at first glance. But that's where the cracks start to form.
I mean, it would kind of be good, except for the fact that Mega Gardevoir EX was already featured on a piece of pack art, that being all the way back in 2015 with X and Y Primal Clash. Oh, and Xerneas and Yveltal Break? Well, the cards that they're supposed to be put on top of, the original Xerneas and Yveltal, they in this set are word for word reprints of the same cards from the base X and Y expansion in 2013. Yeah, it's seriously bizarre. Let's take a look at this from the perspective of the game designers behind this set. They have to pick 4 cards that reflect the themes and features of the entire set. Picking Volcanion EX is a good choice. It was meant to be the focus of this set from its very inception, after all. It represents the new feature of the set, this being the dual-type Pokemon. Alright, the Mega Gardevoir in that respect is the same. But this roster immediately becomes unbalanced when you realize that both Mega Gardevoir EX and Xerneas both share the fairy typing. You see, this skews the diversity of the set further and restricts the main focus of the set to only a few types, completely ignoring a good majority of the types present in this set. Yveltal is it's a fine option. It represents the dark type well enough, but I can't help but feel like we didn't need to have Yveltal as the focus for the set. Perhaps choosing a card like this set's Mega Steelix EX would have been a better option. It further promotes the whole dual type gimmick in this set, and it draws attention to the needlessly overlooked steel and fighting types. The big issue with the choice for the main roster Pokemon in this set is that there's really no better option. The set's so devoid of any powerful cards at all, the amount of playable, memorable cards in the set could be counted on one hand. As a matter of fact, let me do that. We have Mega Gardevoir EX, Volcanion EX, Volcanion, Ninja Boy, and Special Charge. That's it. Underpowered, clunky, and generally uninteresting cards plague this set list. If I had to pick one word to describe the set, I would, without a doubt, choose gimmicky. Super situational, borderline unusable cards like Greedy Dice, Captivating Pokepuff, and the horrendously unplayable Fossil Pokemon cards just seem to exist because Pokemon needed to pad out a card list to reach a quota for how many trainer cards are in the set. You see, Steam Siege is like cereal. A 116-pound bowl of cereal, with 5 pounds of it being actual cereal, and the other 111 being warm tap water.
But after all this talk about gimmicks, how about we dive into the meat and potatoes of this set and discuss the one new card mechanic that was introduced to this set and was very innovative and will definitely stick around for many sets to come. Oh shit.
Joe, what's wrong?
It didn't last. It didn't last, Mom. The dual types didn't last at all. One set, that was it.
Guys, I can't even begin to describe how frustrated I feel when I take even a slightly critical look at these cards. They just get so much wrong, and it makes me feel so frustrated. For those of you who don't know, this is what I like to call the dual type card cycle from Steam Siege. This saw the reintroduction of an older gimmick in the Pokemon trading card game, where Pokemon would, simply have two types, indicated by a small text box on the card art. These dual types, with their two somewhat layered type icons and the unique split-colored backgrounds, actually do look pretty good on a very first glance.
Too bad they all suck.
For one, who decided to hold a board meeting and work together to choose the absolutely most uninteresting Pokemon to receive a dual type card? I mean, there's some cool Pokemon that were chosen, Volcarona and Bisharp are two good picks. But then, they made the rest feel so bland. Their attacks are subpar, they don't have any interesting attack gimmicks. It feels like the game designers were, too scared to go all in on the idea of dual type Pokemon. Why not choose Pokemon that would benefit from dual typing to provide a unique solution to an otherwise huge problem for decks that are typing? Like, why isn't Gallade one of the dual types? Its first type would be Psychic, and it would use Psychic Energy to attack. Because of its dual typing with its fighting type, it can hit Dark decks for weakness, where Dark used to be able to exploit Psychic's traditional weakness to Dark! Stuff like that is what fans thought the dual type would provide for the game. But nope, instead we got these wishy-washy cards that didn't commit to the very idea they were created from. And ultimately, they just fell short of being any form of interesting. It's cool that they decided to add this splice-colored background to the cards. In theory. In actual practice, it looks terribly amateur, and actively takes away from the clarity of a card. If there's anything I think is the biggest sin in terms of designing a trading card game, like Pokemon, it's when aesthetic flair directly impedes the clarity of what a card does. For cards like Galvantula or Azumarill, it doesn't really serve as an issue, because the colors in their background still make it easy to see what's actually printed on the cards. But when a card's got a darker or more clashing color scheme, like Shiftry, Bisharp, or Mega Gardevoir EXs, Oh, that's when we begin to see a huge problem. I genuinely cannot tell which one's worse, Shiftry or the crazy quilt from Batman. Anyways, Shiftry has the problem of having a black background that clashes with its green background, meaning that the traditional black text used on green backgrounds has to then be turned into white text that's used on black backgrounds, crafting this mix-match, sloppy-looking, hard-to-understand text. Like, look at this! I feel like I might contract a migraine from looking at this card. Words are cut in the middle by the divide between the two colors. Oh god, it makes it hard to make out the entire sentence. And for certain words, like, the divide is right on top of a letter. It's literally illegible. And Bisharp has the exact same problem as Shiftry. It's just a light gray and black instead of a green and black. On the other hand, we have Mega Gardevoir EX, who's rocking this spiffy pink and purple background, which makes reading this card's text in anything other than super bright light an extremely straining process. People with slight vision problems might already have issues with reading Pokemon's card text, but having a black text on top of a dark pink, near magenta color makes some of the text unreadable. The purple's a lot better, since it's a lighter, almost pastel purple, but still, what a sloppy design oversight. Even as someone with absolutely no vision impairments whatsoever, I still struggle to read this card's text every so often.
And I'll have you know, my vision is excellent. Ow.
Essentially, the whole idea to have these dual background colors were extremely short-sighted to Pokemon, and they just show off how bad things can be when a design team prioritizes form over function. But that's just how the card text and background look. We still have another absolutely wonderful point to talk about, and that's the art of these cards. The core idea behind the art of these dual-type Pokemon seems to be that the Pokemon featured in this card art are shiny Pokemon. For the 5 of you who don't actually know what a shiny Pokemon is, it's an alternately colored Pokemon comparative to their original versions. All Pokemon have one, and they're said to be really rare. Cool! So having a shiny Pokemon on these cards is just a cool little detail. Right? You know, something a little extra to create a link between the Pokemon and its dual-type cycle? Well, you would be right. Except that, for whatever insane reason, there's one card that seems to not follow this rule at all. Ladies, gentlemen, people of all ages, I introduce you to what might be the bane of my very existence. The very thing that fills me with so much anger that I can't help myself. The thing that only seems to exist to mock me, the only person on Earth who seems to give a shit about Pokemon card design, and having a cohesive design theme based around them. Everyone, I introduce you to this card. This goddamn card. It seems to be a proverbial spit in my face for caring about things like keeping a design theme consistent. Let's just get right to the root of the issue, alright? Because if I spend too much time analyzing this card, I'm liable to develop a hernia and a case of severe onset depression at the exact same time. Volcanion EX is an example of what happens when someone just doesn't get the memo. I mean, I don't know if they had someone working on the art for these dual types, and when it came time to do Volcanion EX, they just decided to either forget what they were supposed to make shiny, or they just didn't give a shit, but this is absolutely unacceptable. Volcanion EX is a dual fire-water type, and when he's shiny, he's supposed to be this, goldish yellow color. You all notice something a little off about what I just said, right? And, what's on this card? Ding ding ding! You're correct! This card's not There is no reason that they should have made this the only dual type that does not apply to this rule. None! At the time of this set's release, Volcanion was not available to obtain within any Pokemon games. So perhaps they wanted to introduce people to Volcanion through his normal form, before throwing a shiny in their face. Sure, okay. But there's one issue with that train of thought. There's already another Volcanion in the set! Yeah, that's right! There's 2 Volcanions in this set! One is the aforementioned Volcanion EX, aka my personal hell, and the other is the normal Volcanion card, that's pure fire type. So I ask you a question, Pokemon. Why, on God's green earth, did you decide it was okay to go against the art design principles set by the other cards in this dual type cycle if you already had another Volcanion in the set? One that was not only statistically easier to pull from packs, but before Volcanion EX on the set list! Volcanion EX is a fundamentally flawed card from a game design standpoint, a card theming standpoint, and an art design standpoint. But that could have been somewhat rectified by the fact that there's a secret rare version of Volcanion EX in the set. One that has the rarity, the secrecy, and the collectability to warrant having a shiny version of Volcanion printed on it. Alright, let's see it. Here we go. Lay it on me. What? Why? Why is the secret rare, the version of the card that doesn't even appear in the official set list, also the normal version of Volcanion? There's nothing fixed about this card. If anything, it only lets me complete more. First off, why the hell is Xerneas in the background of this card? Xerneas is described as the life Pokemon. It has nothing to do with Volcanion. Volcanion has never once interacted with Xerneas in any official capacity. No episodes of the Pokemon anime have them interact. The Volcanion-themed movie has nothing. At the same time this set was released, you couldn't even get Volcanion without hacking your game. There was literally never an instance of Volcanion interacting with Xerneas. They aren't even the same type. And Xerneas isn't one of the fellow dual-type cards either. Why is Xerneas here? Was it because of the 2 main Pokemon featured in the set where Xerneas and Yveltal break? But break Pokemon are golden! So why is this normal-ass Xerneas? This is inexcusable. This is like ordering a dish of white rice, but getting brown rice instead. No, this is like wanting kidney beans in your chili, but getting green beans instead. Why? Why did all the card art designers establish a theme across these dual-type Pokemon, and they just forget about it when they decided to make Volcanion EX? And they had a chance to fix it with the secret rare. I don't want to be that guy. That guy who just yells negatives about Pokemon card art design principles. I really don't. This cycle just represents such a half-baked, I don't give a shit mentality from designers towards making an interesting, engaging, and captivating card cycle. And I think the reason I'm so angry about Steam Siege's dual types is that they had so much potential. And all that potential got squandered on a cycle of 6 cards, not counting secret rares, full arts, or, the like. Only 2 of which ever seeing any form of relevant play, and then the set faded into relative obscurity. No one really talks about Steam Siege anymore. It's easily fallen into the lost zone to be forgotten alongside other kinds of mediocre sets, like Fates Collide, Emerging Powers, and Generations. Steam Siege was an utter disappointment in almost every way, and because of it, combined with its mediocre predecessor in Fates Collide, and its overhyped successor in Evolutions, the XY generation of sets sputtered out, not leaving much of an impact as it really should have at the end. X and Y was an influential set. It was one of the sets where I first really started getting into competitive Pokemon, and it holds a special place in my heart. And that's why it saddens me so much to see such disappointing sets at the tail end of such a iconic block. We had things like Night March, and Zoroark, and Dark Box, and all these awesome sets come out of the X and Y block. And for that, to just go out on 3 of the worst sets I've ever seen. It really saddened me, honestly. If I had to give this set a rating, I'd give it a 3 out of 10. X and Y Breakthrough and X and Y Breakpoint, which is my personal favorite, one of my favorite sets of all time, probably tied only with Black and White Boundaries Crossed. The two sets, Breakthrough and Breakpoint, would have made a much better final two sets. Pivotal, interesting cards, introduced break Pokemon to the game, were fun to play with, meta-defining, iconic, and people still want packs on today. Anyways, my name's Joe, thanks for watching this video guys, and I'm off to play some Pokemon.